a stellar night of Champions League knockout football.
Well, this is a stage where only the strongest survive.
This is where the Champions League gets really special. It's the very best the game of football has to offer. Sit back and enjoy it.
Hello everybody and welcome to the 10th, yes the 10th meeting in under 4 years between City and Real Madrid. You're seeing some live shots there of the Bernabeu as the team are arriving. City go into this next chapter as favourites, I can't quite believe I'm saying that, favourites to make the quarterfinals with all of course the current issues and the uncertainty at Madrid. But we can never discount the 15 times Champions League winners. And there they are. I love that they make the away team walk past them, just as a reminder. But of course, we're coming into this off the back of a great 3-1 win over Newcastle at the weekend. Some standout performances there, of course, particularly from Savinho. Will he start tonight? I'm going to tell you in just a few seconds. You can see the team arriving. There's Kolo Touré as well. I love Kolo Touré. And will Anton Semenyo get his first Champions League appearance tonight? Because yes, he will indeed. Here is your starting 11 for tonight's huge game. In goal, it is Gigi Donnarumma. Kushinov returns to the back line. Ruben Diaz. And also getting his first ever Champions League appearance. Congratulations to Mark Gay. Alongside them, Nico O'Reilly. Of course, he scored last time out at the Bernabeu. Rodri, Mr. Ballon d'Or himself. And Bernardo Silva. And Savinho, after that man of the match performance against Newcastle, he holds his place. Another congratulations to Anton Semenyo, his first appearance in the Champions League. There is Jeremy Doku. It is an attacking lineup. And of course, that man, Erling Haaland. Welcome everybody. Welcome to Matchday Live. Thank you so much for joining us this evening ahead of this huge Champions League game. 7 changes for City from that Newcastle win, or 4 changes from the Nottingham Forest game the midweek before. And of course, when we have a big game, we have to get in our big guests, and we've brought in 2 absolute Manchester City legends. This club would not exist in the way that it is without these 2 people. So pleased to be joined by Paul Dickov and by Steph Houghton. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Pleasure to be here again.
I mean, you're always calm, but you seem particularly calm tonight.
I am. I don't want to be overconfident, no. I'm just looking at that team. They're very attacking. And people are talking about Madrid, the injuries they've got, big players missing, not in great form. So for once, going to the Bernabeu, I'm pretty confident.
I never thought
without getting too
that.
carried away.
We're going to talk about a little bit later some of the key games that we've had against Madrid, and of course we had one in the Bernabeu together 4 years ago where we got beat, and I think it still haunts both of us.
It's every time I see the Bernabeu, I keep going back to that moment. 2022, wasn't it?
It
doesn't
was.
seem that long ago. It was horrendous night.
It was. Well, hopefully
Be better tonight.
Different tonight, yes. So we've got that team news there. I want to start off, obviously, with Anton Semenyo and Mark Gay, Steph, because they're both getting their first appearance in the Champions League, which is just incredible for them.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think 2 great players. I think when you join a club like Manchester City, I'm sure the boys are thinking that being a part of Champions League is what they want to do, and rightly so, because they're really talented players. And I think on the last show, when me and you did the show together, I was so impressed with both of them. I think they've been tremendous signings, and I think Mark Gay, I think he's added that little bit of steel to our defence. But Semenyo, I think his goals are speaking for himself, and I think it takes the pressure off Haaland having him in the team. But not a bad place to make your Champions League debut, is it, at the Bernabeu against Real Madrid? And but they both deserve it. They're fantastic players, and they're both in form and deserve the starting places for City tonight.
I wonder what they're thinking right now as they walk out onto that pitch. And obviously, huge congratulations to both of them. But the Anton Semenyo story is just, for me, Paul, is a fairy tale. So he becomes only the 2nd ever player to have played in the non-league, in all the divisions in the EFL, the Premier League, and then the Champions League.
It's a fantastic story. The thing, impresses me the most about him is his mentality, how he's just took everything in his stride since he's been here. You know, I remember one of his coaches coming out when he was at Bristol City a few years ago saying that they never ever thought he'd be able to make that next step. And I think he said himself he was thinking about quitting, so to come back the way he has come and come into a new club. I mean, both of them, it seems as if they've been here for about 3 or 4 seasons, the way they've settled in. And God, what a Champions League debut in the Bernabeu and the knockout stages as well. They must be pinching themselves, but I think the big thing is the mentality of them both. They seem very, very level-headed, and they'll be absolutely buzzing with this tonight.
Do you know who the first player to do that was, by the way? I feel like your quiz knowledge might be...
Jamie Vardy?
No, but that's
Tyrone
a great
Mings.
shout. No, no. Steve Finnan.
Steve?
I had to look down at my notes.
Oh, wow.
Steve Finnan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Anton Semenyo is number 2. Well, congratulations. There's Nico Riley, of course, with a goal in the Bernabeu last time he played as well. But I want to talk now about Savinho, because obviously he had that phenomenal game against Newcastle at the weekend. You know, he ran the show. He was man of the match. From that opportunity that he got in the FA Cup, he now starts in the Champions League, Steph.
Yeah, I mean, I think in them first 20 minutes, I thought Newcastle were the better team, but I think we kept on giving them the ball, which is so important as a winger and as a forward player. You want that trust, you want that, give us the ball, let me see what I can do. And I feel as though he is someone that we want to have in 1v1 situations, and I think he's got a bit of everything. And I think the player that played on that side, Mahrez, he's got a little bit about him, and I think the fact that he's so young, I think we're still waiting for that little bit of final product. But against Newcastle on Saturday, he's really justified his starting place tonight because he was exceptional. I think coming against Lewis Hall, which is a very good defender, I think he caused problems, and look, it means that Newcastle have to have 2 players around him, and it meant that other people were free, which helped us in the long run. But honestly, what a talented player, and I think there's so much more to come from him, and to see him on a big stage like that tonight, it'd be so interesting to see how he does.
I think we forget how young he is as well. Like you say, there's so much more to come from him. He's still so young.
And he looks like he wants to learn that, and I think that's the biggest thing. And like what you said, the squad's so competitive. There's so many players that have come in. You brought in the likes of Semenyo, so in them forward areas, the competitions, it's up for grabs your place, and you've got to perform, you've got to do it there and then, and he certainly did that on Newcastle and pretty much won us the game.
I genuinely believe he played his way into the starting lineup tonight,
Yes.
off the back of that performance.
Yeah.
You know, Pep making the changes, he probably did have one eye on tonight. Thinking he's coming back from injury, get some minutes in him. He looked sharp when he came on against Forest as well.
Yeah.
And the one thing he does, Natalie, he gets you up the pitch when you're under pressure.
Yeah.
You know, he gets you 20, 30 yards. He can pick the ball up the halfway line before you know it. He's in the final third because he's direct and wants to drive at players. And I think, as you said, you know, he's so young. He took a little bit of stick off fans at the start of the season, which I was a bit surprised about. But I do think people forget how young he actually is. And
He's come back with hunger, hasn't he, Paul? Yeah. And I think obviously it's a big year for a lot of players. Like, there's a place there for a World Cup for Brazil, and I think he's come back, he looks fit, he looks a bit stronger. And I think when you have so much competition, you go one way or the other. You're able to, when you get your chance, you take it or you don't, and unfortunately he's took it. And it's so interesting that he's playing with wingers tonight against Real Madrid, because they're a little bit fragile at the back. They've obviously got players missing as well, and I think for me, Savinho and Doku on their day, in terms of 1v1, they're probably 2 of the best in the world.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point, Steph. What does that tell us then, do you think, in terms of Pep's thinking, Paul? Because, you know, say Savinho, he's fearless. Like, he's going to go out there tonight and he's going to run with it. So what does that tell us about what Pep's thinking about the game?
I think he wants to go there and win the game,
Yeah.
go there and attack them and really put the pressure on them. He knows the last few games at the Bernabeu, if you listen to the reports, that the crowd have been very close to getting the white flags out a few times. You know, the last Champions League game I watched against Benfica, and they were poor. They were poor, they were really open on the counter-attack as well. And with the pace of Doku and Savinho getting them up the pitch. And, you know, Nico Riley looks as if he'll probably be starting that left-back zone. But him and Doku were exceptional. We beat them earlier on in the season. 2-1, Nico scored. Doku caused their full-backs all sorts of problems. So maybe that's something that Pep's been thinking about for a while.
Do you want to see Savinho taking risks tonight then? Because obviously it's the first leg, it's at the Bernabeu, we've got the second leg. Do you want to see him doing that?
Yeah, I think that's why they're mavericks, aren't they?
Yeah.
The 2 wingers that we're playing with tonight. The reason they're in the team is to go and win you the game and create chances. So it's a big game for them, but what a game to be put into. And it just shows you the trust that Pep's been talking about Savinho the last couple of weeks, isn't he, in training, and how he's came back stronger and So he's obviously been doing something right there, and his performance, said against Forest, when he came on, I thought he was our most dangerous player, and at the weekend he was outstanding. So when you're in that sort of form, the momentum, especially as a young player, the confidence of having the trust of your manager to put you in a game like that is huge.
And like Steph said as well, on some of the highlights we saw there, Newcastle ended up with 2 defenders to try and stop him. In terms of City's game plan then, Steph, is that meaning if we think Madrid are going to have to do that, is that meaning then that it opens up more space, it opens up more freedom for somebody in midfield? Yeah,
definitely. And I think if that's the case where I think his decision-making has to be good, I think be fearless, take risks, but at the same time, if there's somebody in a better position, I think it's about getting the ball and switching it as quick as you possibly can to who that spare player is. And I think it's so interesting that he's playing Kusanov in behind Savinho, because I think his pace, I think the last time we played Real Madrid, and even though we played poorly as a team, I think Kusanov was brilliant against Vinicius, just because of his pace purely. And I think that's probably like a good plan from Pep, in the sense of like have that protection but allow them 4 players to be a little bit free to go actually try things. But in their moments when we maybe have someone in a better position, whether it's a pull-back, whether it's kind of recycling the ball, then let's do that and make them work, because we know this Real Madrid team, if they're not having the ball, the attitude changes, the behaviour, the teamwork changes. So if we can do that and really stifle them, I think we give ourselves a really good opportunity tonight.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I feel like we can frustrate them as well, because when you think about Doku and Savinho and Semenyo, like that excites me, Paul. That's unpredictable and exciting.
I'm slightly surprised, but super excited by it as well.
Yeah.
I thought one of that 3, or 2 of the 4, put Cherki in there as well. Might have maybe missed out and put the extra midfielder in there. But it shows, and what Semenyo being in there does as well, it takes the pressure off Erling a little bit. You know, if they're 2 centre-halves, as they have done in previous games, are trying to beat up Erling and get in his face and everything else, we've seen it already when Semenyo's in the team. He can pick up the little spaces and go in there and create a goal. I'm looking forward to Haaland against Rudiger if he plays tonight again.
That was in the game back that we had in the group stage. That was a good battle.
Yeah, they've had a few good battles together, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
Do you think that this is a night for Erling to... Because obviously he loves the Champions League. We know how much he loves it. We know how often he scores in this competition. To maybe use it as a chance to get his spark back?
I do, yeah. And I think the teams... I think the attacking-wise were set up for Erling tonight. You know, because when you've got Savinho and Doku and Semenyo, you know, providing them as well, because both their full-backs are going to have to be doubled up on. The 2 centre-halves want to get dragged out of space as well. One's going to have to go in with Semenyo as well, and it's going to leave space for Erling to go and do it. And the players have got in the team, the quality they've got, and the service we've got, I'm sure we're going to create a load of chances for him.
And we know that he's got absolute rock-solid nerve. You know, we see him score a penalty at the Bernabeu. We saw him score a penalty at Anfield as well. You know,
he thrives in it.
Yeah, he really does, doesn't he? Out of anyone, I feel like he thrives on that occasion, those big occasions.
Yeah, the big pressure, you know, that's why they're world-class players. You know, they're the moments they want. These are the games they want to play in, and these are the games they want to score in.
I've got a score update for you, because obviously there's other Champions League games going on tonight. There was the early kick-off that is currently going on right now. Bayer Leverkusen playing Arsenal. That's at Leverkusen tonight. Leverkusen are winning. It is 1-0. 46-minute goal for Antrick there. They're in the 50th minute, so we'll update you. We'll keep letting you know. So, they're not invincible. Long way to go in that, yeah. I'll update you. I'm not getting too excited. I'll update you. In terms of that Newcastle game at the weekend as well, obviously we made the 10 changes. As you said before, Steph, Newcastle were on top for the first 20 minutes, but after that, I just felt like City opened up, and as the game went on, we just became more dominant. Considering we made 10 changes in that game as well. Obviously, Savinho's played himself into the 11 tonight. I think I was so impressed across the board there, obviously with Marmoush as well.
Yeah, real team performance. I think you've got to understand that when you're them 10 players that are coming in with not played that much football together, I think there's just a different feeling. I feel as though these boys would be like, let's just go and enjoy it, let's take our opportunity and just really go and try and impress. I think when you play with that little bit of freedom and you play with that little bit of togetherness, and I think that was what it was after that 20 minutes. It was like, oh, actually, technically we're better, physically we're better, let's kind of go and enjoy this moment at St James's Park on a Saturday night. And you know what, you couldn't fault anybody, I think, from those that have not really played that many minutes to Marmoush scoring the goals. I think it was a perfect performance, because that's a tough place to go, and we've struggled probably there in the past. Obviously in the league this season we got that draw, but yeah, what a fantastic goal that is. I think we've got people that can score goals from all different angles. outside 30 yards, tap-ins like Semenyo or Cherky that'll come on and do a bit of magic, and that just shows what a squad that we have. And fair play to everybody, because it's hard when you haven't had that many minutes and you're a bit frustrated, but to go and perform like that, I think it does give Pep a headache.
And Marmoush loves playing against Newcastle. We're going to talk about his record against Newcastle, which is just sensational, a little bit later on as well. So, yeah, 2 goals for Marmoush in that game. Man of the match performance for Savinho in that game as well. And as we said, Paul feels like he's now played himself from that game into the starting 11 tonight at the Bernabeu in the Champions League. Now, a lot of you were on social media after Savinho's man of the match performance talking about his goal and saying it reminded you of a previous Manchester City goal. And a lot of you have got incredible memory, by the way, because I needed jogging on it. Right, so that was Savinho's goal, which I was so delayed, by the way. I don't know about you, Paul.
That was bizarre.
It's always scored. So that's the goal, obviously, remember. I think he was delayed too.
I still can't work out every time I see it whether he's actually meant it or not, or whether it's hit him.
We need to know, don't we?
Can we...
I don't think he's seen that, you know. I know it sounds really stupid, but...
Okay, well,
it sounds like a shin.
He was
but it's the look in his face
to get
as well.
himself... Oh, yeah, it's the look on his face. He still managed to get himself in the right area.
Yeah.
So we give him credit for that. He anticipated the ball might come there. Full credit.
Got to be in the right place to score.
So that was his goal, and it reminded a lot of you of this goal. This is Martin Di Michaelis. It really does. Like, that was a great... Everybody, that was such great memory from you all as well. Well done, everybody. That was his first ever goal for City.
You see, at least that Martin actually moves his leg to kick the ball here. There.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, he does.
That's a centre-half finish, that.
Would you be proud of that one?
Yeah, I would be, actually. They all count that. You've got to be in the area, you've got to read the play.
I would love to think that Savinho was that cool about it, that he meant it.
Yeah.
That he's just...
Do you think he did, though?
I can't make my mind up, Steph.
I don't think he did.
I watch
I'm
it
sorry.
sometimes and I think it's just hit him. Then I watch it other times. If you see it from behind, it looks as if he sort of gave it a little nudge. But that doesn't matter. He scored the goal, didn't he? It's all that counts. When you're a striker, the stats say he scored. Doesn't matter if you mean it or not.
100%, 100%. So a lot of you thought that those goals reminded you of each other. Well, producer Daryl on Matchday Live thought another goal that was scored by City this week reminded him of a previous goal. It's this rocket, you might not have seen it, from Dada Maskell in the PL2. And he said it had a hint of familiarity of another famous Manchester City goal. Anything jumping into... I mean, we've scored a lot of special goals. Yaya Toure.
Wow.
Yaya Toure in the Carabao Cup final. I mean, that's a compliment.
That is. I think producer Darryl's got to concentrate on producing rather than his golf at the minute, because I don't think that's got anywhere near the same sort of goal there. What do you think, Steph?
Toure, out of this world, that.
Yeah.
Did you play golf with producer Daryl today, by any chance?
No, I didn't, but I heard he was a bandit and he won again in his handicap. So.
I'm laughing that we're calling him producer Daryl and just Daryl. Yeah.
Producer Daryl. So, of course, we were talking about the Newcastle game, the FA Cup game. City got through. City are through to the quarterfinals, and the draw happened on Monday night. And we need to be having a word with a certain Joe Hart, I think. I mean, you probably disagree, Paul. You're probably happy. You're happy always. I thought, Joe, come on, give us a break, because, of course, we drew Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard at that level when you're in the quarterfinals, but I think, yeah, there would have been probably teams you would have preferred in terms of what we have coming up over the next few weeks. I think playing Liverpool is another tough game to add into it, but I think, like what I said before, in terms of the squad that we have, I think now Pep can trust the squad in terms of when he's needed them, they've really stepped up. And I think Newcastle away kind of shows that no matter who you're going to put in there, you're going to get a good performance. And of course, Liverpool's always tough. How many games have we played against Liverpool over the last few seasons where you can't ever call it because there's two really good sides? But I think in terms of what we've done this season, I think we are in a better position than Liverpool have been. We're a lot more consistent, and that bodes well for us. But yeah, it could have been, no disrespect, someone like Port Vale or someone like that, maybe at home. But we're at home as well, which is a big advantage.
Yes, and I would have taken anyone at home. That is my first preference, anyone at home.
Yeah.
But I presume, I know what you're going to say, Paul. It's fine, you're happy with it, we can beat them.
No, obviously, if you want to get a Port Vale at home, and no disrespect to them, but yeah, I'm quite happy with it. I think after a performance, and especially the result at Anfield, You know, winning there for the first time in a long time in front of the way we won it. You know, coming back from a goal behind when we looked dead, and we'll have a spring in their step. And as Steph said, the lads who played Saturday will get another opportunity, and I think they'll look at tonight and see what's happened with Savinho and think if we do put a performance in the cup games, it's going to put us straight back in the picture for now. Because the games we've got coming up in the Premier League, hopefully Champions League, Carabao Cup final, you know,
The run is crazy.
They're going to be desperate to play their way into it, and no better game than Liverpool at home.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, of course, Joe Hart did that FA Cup draw. He's been very busy as Joe Hart lately. We've managed to grab him pitchside at the Bernabeu to have a chat, and also with Steve McManaman.
Joe, thank you for joining us. Real Madrid, Man City, very familiar fixture now. What do you make of the rivalry over the last few years?
Oh, it's been unbelievable, hasn't it? I remember playing for the first time against Real Madrid for Manchester City. I think it was maybe 2013. And it was like a dream to play against Real Madrid now. It just feels like a regular fixture in the season. But really well prepped. I think they're in a good place. I think they're coming here with confidence, which is not something that you've necessarily done with through the years. So, yeah, it's a good night to be a Manchester City player.
What's it like to play here at this stadium?
It's a phenomenal place. It's one of those where you kind of have to... Look, these guys are professionals. They're here to win. So it doesn't really matter where they are. But there are a few moments you allow yourself to just take it all in, realise the history of world footballs in this stadium. But ultimately, you're here to take care of business.
Marc Guéhi and Antoine Semenyo are in a Champions League squad for the first time. To possibly make their first appearance in the Champions League in this stadium, can you remember the first time for you?
Yeah, I can. It was Napoli at home. Incredible experience. Then we went to Bayern Munich, the Allianz. It was a similar sort of thing. And I'm just so pleased for Marc Guéhi. I'm so pleased for Antoine Semenyo. They fully deserve to be on this stage. They're brilliant footballers. They've come in January, made a real impact on the squad, which is not easy to do at this level. And whatever goes on tonight, they fully deserve to be where they are. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how they fare.
Will their mindset be any different?
No, you can't play for Manchester City. You can't do what they've done in their careers so far and be altered by being at somewhere. It's just another game, another big focus. You'll be amongst your teammates. You'll have worked hard. You've got the City group in the corner. That's all that they'll care about tonight, getting the job done. Because ultimately, they're in that unique, brilliant position as a footballer. As they're not here for the ride. They're here to win.
How impressed were you with the performance on Saturday, given that Pep made 10 changes to the team?
So impressive. I worked the game. The first 20 minutes, Newcastle were excellent. They did everything that Newcastle do well. St James's was up. And I was just thinking in the game, for this City team to work, they need to be nearly perfect. And then the rhythm and the routines and everything they'd done in training, they all implemented into the game. It was a really great example of people taking their opportunities and how strong Manchester City's squad is.
I'm going to put you on the spot for the final question. As it stands, who do you think is going to win the Champions League this season?
Do you know what? Since I've come into this, I've actually thought about giving genuine, thought-provoked answers. But now I just go, Manchester City are going to win everything because I want them to win.
Stephen, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
City and Madrid meet again. Is this game going to be any different to what we've seen previously?
Well, I think it'll be more like the game we saw recently when City dominated, because I think if you see the way Real Madrid have been playing of late and the lack of players they have tonight, I can't see anything but Manchester City dominating the game, to be honest, and I expect them to win. So I don't think it'll be as exciting as past encounters. I think it'll be slightly a bit more mundane, but I think City, should dominate the game.
Is this arguably the first time City come into the tie as favourites?
I think the last time they played in the group stage, I thought they were favourites then. But when you see Mbappe on the bench and you knew that he wasn't fit enough, I thought they were favourites that day, and they went about it as if they were favourites and won quite comfortably in the end. But looking at the two sides and looking at the bookies today, of course, after looking at the horse racing, City are big favourites today, aren't they? They've got the even money, which is never normally the case in the Bernabeu. But you can clearly see why.
Can you pinpoint what's gone wrong for Real Madrid this season?
Lots of things. Lack of cohesion at times. They've had some terrible injury worries. I think everybody knows that. Militao's out, Alaba's out, Carreras is out, Bellingham's out. You can go on and on and on, of course. Dani Carvajal hasn't really responded from his injury last year. Kylian's out, Rodrigo last week on his ACL again. They've had numerous problems like that. But the injury problems have happened to their really good, experienced players, so that'll hit them hard. And their recent form, Celta Vigo, Getafe here, even Benfica, who they knocked out in the latest in the knockout phase, they were not great. There was lots of murmurings within the crowd. Crowd were not happy with their performances. They got away with one at the weekend. Celta Vigo scored in the last minute. So when you put all that together, that's why you can only really come out with one reasoning. Really, of course, things can happen in an away game. Or a home game for Madrid away from Manchester City in a European competition. But when you look at the two teams, the fact that they know all about each other, that's why I'm confident for Manchester City this evening.
And despite Real's troubles, you can never rule them out in the Champions League, can you?
No, not at all. Of course you can't. But it was sort of this time last year when they played Arsenal. I know they played Arsenal the second leg, and people were talking that this comeback, the remontada, you thought to yourself, they're actually not in good form to do that type of things like they've done in the past. When they beat Manchester City many moons ago, late on in the game, they had Benzema, they had Rodrigo, they had characters, Kroos and Modric. Unfortunately, they're lacking them players. They really are. That's why, as someone who watches football, I keep going back to, well, that team's this team and that team's that, and I just think that team will win.
Right now, who are you backing to win the whole competition as it stands?
I've been really impressed with Bayern Munich, really impressed. I think because they're in the Bundesliga and the top, and people don't realise how good they've been with Vinny as manager, and Luis Diaz has been brilliant for them. Elise's been outstanding. They've got Leonard Carl, the youngster, playing really well. They've got Gnabry, and then suddenly Musiala comes back from injury, and they've got Nicholas Jackson, who covers for Harry Kane at the moment, scored 2 last night. You think to yourself, wow, if they stay fit, they've got a real good chance. So it's easy to pick one of the English teams. We've got 6 still going strong. Could be 5 after Tottenham last night. But, as an outsider from the English teams, I think the better equipped are certainly Bayern Munich.
Perfect. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much there to Joe Hart and Steve McManaman. We love you, Joe Hart, as well. You don't need to give punditry, just say City are going to win. We love that. OK, here is the starting 11 now for Real Madrid for tonight. So in goal it is, of course, Courtois. And there's a familiar face, Alexander-Arnold. Then it's Rudiger, Houghton, Mendy, Tchouaméni, Valverde, Brahim Diaz, Thiago, Gula and Vinicius Jr. You'll also notice there on the subs bench that there is no Mbappe. So Kylian Mbappe has not recovered from that knee injury to be in the squad today. So that is the starting 11 for Madrid. So, Paul, immediately when I look at that team, what do you think? Is a team set up to essentially let City have the ball and they're going to try and get us on the counter?
Yeah, I think it's a team set up to possibly defend deep, which they'll find it difficult to do at the Bernabeu because their fans want them to attack all the time and to hit Vinny Jr. in the break. I think it's quite simple. He's the biggest threat. I mean, it's still not a bad team considering the injuries they've got out. I'll look at both the full-backs. Mendy's been out injured and not long come back into the team. I remember Jeremy Doku absolutely destroying Trent at the Etihad a couple of seasons ago. Houghton just come back in after being out injured for a little bit as well, and obviously that battle with Rudiger, so it's going to be interesting what they do. They looked all over the place against Benfica, especially defensively without the ball, so it's whether they're going to have to be a bit more stable tonight the way we are set up, but it's got to make it a good game, a really exciting game, and the biggest threat we know is Vinny Jr. Keep him quiet, then we've got a great chance.
So how do you see us defending against Vinicius Jr? Because it does, I completely agree with Paul, it does seem like he is the obvious danger for Real Madrid. What do we need to do, Steph?
Be switched on first and foremost, I think, especially if we're going to have a lot of the ball, which we'll see what Real Madrid do. I think it's going to be interesting because there's two teams that like control the football, and but if we do, I think it's more about knowing where he is first and foremost. Can Kusanov or Diaz, can they get tight to him so that he's not able to turn? And we know he likes space, we know how quick he is, he loves to dribble, and I think get first contacts whenever we can. But the most important thing is not give the ball away in dangerous areas so that we can stop the counter. And I think we have been a bit better at that this season, maybe not against Nottingham Forest in the league. But certainly against Newcastle, against quick players, I think that was a bit of a test for us and we dealt with it really, really well. But look, I think Vinicius is a brilliant player and we have to keep an eye on him, but they also have other players that can maybe produce something special. And but I think looking at that team, it's not their strongest because they've got a lot of injuries, but it's Real Madrid at the Bernabeu, and they've got their fans, so we have to be switched on. We have to concentrate and just make sure that we play our game like we have done over the last few weeks.
Obviously, Vinicius.
I'm just watching them coming in here. They look as if they've just lost the game already. The way they're coming in, a lot of them.
Oh, they do.
You know,
they also look young as well.
They look young, but we look, compared to us walking in as well, and it could be the whole psychology of the thing. We had a spring in our step. We look big. We look strong. We look confident. They're all sort of staring at the ground as if the game's finished and they've just been beat.
You're right.
You know, body language is huge, and they're not giving off the best there. It might be different when they get out on the pitch, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I do like to look into things like that. They look, I don't know, look deflated already.
Yeah, they do a bit. We saw Thibaut Courtois come in a minute ago, so he's so tall as well, but when he was walking in, and there's Trent, we need to talk about him in a second. For me, when I look at the team, my eyes go to Vinicius Jr. and then I go to Courtois, because obviously even in the game when we beat them at the Bernabeu, I mean, I feel like he had 5 or 6 great saves in that game as well. So I go from one end and then I look back there, and he's going to be such a big player. You know, he's going to need to produce 5 or 6 saves again for them tonight, probably. Hopefully.
I think both goalkeepers are huge. I think they're 2 of the best goalkeepers in the world. The reason that they are the best is because in big games they make big saves. And you're right, Courtois was outstanding in the game earlier on the season. And you know, Donnarumma for us, how many times has he not had a lot to do and he's pulled out wonderful saves to either keep us in the game or gone to win the game. So I think both goalkeepers, and big games like this, last 16 quarter-finals, semi-finals of the Champions League, you know, you look at the teams that have won them all, 9 times out of 10 they've all got the best goalkeepers in there because they make big saves at big times.
When you're looking at the lineup as well, and I said they look young because they have quite a few young players in the team. We talked about Savinho and how he's young for us and how he's exciting and creative and dynamic for us. When you're looking at, say, Gula for Madrid and the youth that he brings to it, do you think a creative danger for, you know, is he also someone we're going to need to focus on, Steph?
Yeah, massively. He's a big talent, and I think he's been craving that starting position in Real Madrid, and now he's being given that opportunity. So some players like that like the responsibility of being that creative person, and I think especially with the likes of Mbappe out and Jude Bellingham, it's a position that he could potentially take up. And I think we're speaking about Savinho. He'll probably take risks in the sense of Gula will do the same, and especially in that midfield if he does play in the centre midfield. But they've got some talented youngsters. They wouldn't be playing for Real Madrid if they didn't have something about them, and he's certainly shown that this season. Even though it's been a real difficult season for Real Madrid, he's probably been one of their standout performers.
I think he's been excellent. I think he's took with it. The big player's been out. I think he's looked at it and thought, this is my time. You know, he's been classed as this wonder kid for the last couple of years now, and he's been in there. And as Steph says, he's been one of their best players. He's really stepped up, and it looks as if he's enjoying having that pressure of being their best player.
Another player that's had pressure on him this season for different reasons, obviously, is Trent. We know everything that happened at the end of his move to Real Madrid at Liverpool. He went there and it was a difficult start for him. Obviously, he picked up injuries. He's back in the team. The new manager seems to like him, and he's been playing. And what are you expecting? Obviously, he knows us. We know him. What are you expecting from him tonight?
I think Trent's a wonderful player. He's such a good footballer. He can create something out of nothing from full-back area as well. Know his passing range. There's always going to be a question mark against him defensively because he's an attacking full-back. He's a modern full-back. I just wonder whether Doku being in the team tonight and Trent being playing for them has been in Pep's mind for a while, because you know, whenever Doku's played against Trent, he's gave him a torrid time.
Of course, because there is somebody in Pep's backroom staff that knows Trent Alexander-Arnold inside out, because obviously Pep Lijnders had him not only in the first team but through the academy ages, and he was Pep Lijnders was a big supporter and a big fan of bringing Trent through the Liverpool academy system, so he knows him inside out, which hopefully plays into our hands tonight, Steph.
You would like to think so. When you've worked with someone, you know the flaws, but you also know the strengths. I think we know how good Trent is. We talked about Vinicius on the break. It obviously has to come from somewhere, so I think Trent is going to be probably one of them players that can play them passes, and he doesn't even have to look, he just has to put it in an area, and it could create danger for us. But at the same time, we know in terms of 1v1 defending isn't his forte. even though he's played full-back for a lot of his career, he's maybe had that little spell in midfield for England, a little bit for Liverpool with the inverted full-back. But I think if we isolate him, I think it could play into our hands, because Doku, you don't want to be facing him. I wouldn't have liked to have faced him because he's so quick. He just has to get out his feet, and he's aware, and you can't get anywhere near him. And I think he will have to have protection if he's ever in that 1v1 battle, and that means that we potentially could have an advantage somewhere else. So I think that is key, and he hasn't had the greatest of starts at Real Madrid, got injured. The fans haven't really taken him too much, but he's getting a bit of a run in the team today, and I'm sure he'll be up for this game. He's played against us a lot of times and performed really well.
I think whoever's playing in front of him's got a huge job tonight as well. I think if he's going to be left one-on-one and isolated a little bit tonight, he could be in big trouble. So whoever is that one, whether it's one of the three in the middle or one of the wide players, they've got a huge job defensively to try and help him out.
And of course, we mentioned the fans a few times because it is a difficult season for, you know, they didn't instantly take to Trent. You know, they're switching the manager. You know, they're behind Barcelona in La Liga as well. But if the fans get on side with them tonight, the Bernabeu still has that fear factor. You know, it's the Bernabeu on a Champions League night. You know, they know they do late comebacks. They know that they never give up. So if the crowd does get on their side, how much of an influence is that and the stadium itself for them? It's
massive, Natalie. We were there that night in 2022, and I've never seen a group of fans get behind the team like it, especially when we went in front and it looked as if they were going out. Up until that point, they were loud and everything else, but it was as if they knew that the team needed them. And I've never heard it. As soon as we scored and they were taking kick-off, the noise was incredible, Natalie, wasn't it?
I'll never forget it.
I've never seen a team getting beat at home and the fans get behind them as much as well. So they know how important they are to the team. And they'll know that tonight as well.
When you look at the midfield as well for Madrid, and obviously Valverde is such a big player, he's the captain for them as well, but how key is his leadership and his energy going to be tonight for Madrid?
It's massive because we know how strong our midfield is. The likes of Rodri getting back to his best form, the likes of Bernardo, he pops up here, there and everywhere, and whether Semenyo drops into that number 10 position or Nico O'Reilly comes in from the left back position, we don't really know yet, but I think Valverde has been such an important player for Real Madrid. In these big games when Real Madrid need him, what a fantastic finish that is. He's got quality all over the pitch, and every time he seems to play against us, he always has a good game, and I think he loves the battle, he loves the physicality of what a Premier League team brings in the Champions League, but also he's playing for Real Madrid, who's won this Champions League 15 times. I mean, yeah, I think he loves the pressure, he loves the responsibility, and hence why he's the captain, because it brings out the best in him, and he's going to have a big performance tonight, to be honest.
I'm getting really, really excited for this game now. I cannot wait. So we are about 40 minutes away now, but we've got loads to come up for you between now and then. We're going to reflect as well on some of City's most iconic moments out in Madrid from recent years. And I can already remember some amazing moments. So our Georgia has been around Madrid recapping the rivalry.
Hola and welcome to Madrid. We are in the Spanish capital for a huge Champions League fixture against some very familiar opponents. But let's have a look around the sites first of all and take a trip down memory lane.
Real Madrid 1, City 1, never ever rule out the Blues.
We're starting off our tour in Plaza Mayor, a favourite spot for our City fans throughout the years, and we're going to revisit our first iconic moment, and it's one that fans certainly will always remember as we come from behind to win 2-1 with goals from Gabriel Jesus and Kevin De Bruyne back in 2020.
Kevin De Bruyne turns, and this one headed down, it's found its way across the line. It looks as if it is Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 1. Shuffle in here, there's a challenge that is in on Raheem Sterling. The referee has pointed to the penalty spot. A few deep breaths from KDB. But he scores, past Courtois. It's Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 2. The Blues have turned things around at the Bernabeu.
And now we are in the heart of Madrid, Puerta del Sol, where we're going to revisit a crazy game at the Bernabeu 2 seasons ago now, with 2 wonderful strikes from Josko Gvardiol and Phil Foden, ensuring we got a 3-3 draw in the first leg of our quarter-final.
Taking on Mendy, plays it to Stones, Stones to Foden, shooting chance, into the back of the net! How many times has he done that this season? He is the boy wonder, he's one of our own, and we're privileged to have him. Grealish now, can he get beyond Carvajal? Taking him on, into the area, outside, inside, which way is he going to go? Goes back instead to Gvardiol. Gvardiol tries the shot, scores the goal! Absolutely terrific hit from, of all people, Josko Gvardiol, with, of all things, his right foot.
We're coming to the end of our tour now, but we couldn't visit Madrid and not come here to El Retiro. It's the biggest park in the city at 350 acres, I'm told. And it's right here that we're celebrating Erling Haaland's first goal at the Bernabeu. It was only back in December from a penalty, but it silenced the home crowd.
So a City penalty, Erling Haaland up against Courtois. Haaland steps up and sends him the wrong way. And having trailed in the Bernabeu, City now lead. Erling Haaland tucks in the penalty. City lead 2-1.
Fuente de Cibeles, the place where Real Madrid come to celebrate their big wins and the final stop on our tour. So what a better place to celebrate our achievement of beating Real Madrid 2-1 back in December. Let's hope the boys in blue can repeat the feat this evening.
35th minute. He delivers to the far. Header comes in and City have equalised. Header down by Gvardiol. O'Reilly put in the rebound from about a yard out. It is Real Madrid 1, City 1.
I love that. Thank you very much there to Georgia, giving us a little tour of Madrid and a trip down memory lane as well, because I mentioned at the top of the show that this is the 10th meeting between us in Madrid in just 4 years. And it's actually the 16th overall. 16 games, my goodness. So, Georgia showed you some of the iconic moments there. We thought we'd have a look back as well at some of the key moments between us and Madrid as well. So I want to take you all the way back now to 2012, to our first ever goal against Real Madrid. And I was there. I was there for this game. It was in Madrid, and it was Edin Dzeko. And I was there and I remember it because City lost 3-2 to a late Ronaldo winner. And interestingly as well, the current Real Madrid manager, Arbeloa, played in this game as well. So I can't believe that was 14 years ago. How time is flying. And I feel like Edin Dzeko is probably still playing now, by the way, Paul. That man never ages.
Great finisher though, wasn't he? What a career he's had as well. And you know, to score in the Bernabeu. I remember that game as well. It had to be Ronaldo that scored, didn't it?
And he is still playing. He's playing for Schalke.
Yeah.
At 39.
Fantastic.
Good for you. Thanks, Edin. Yeah, I had a lovely trip then, and that Ronaldo was another Ronaldo heartbreaking moment for me. He's caused many for me in my life as well. Then we thought we'd have a look now at City's first ever win over Madrid. So you've got to go to 2020 for that one. It was the 5th meeting. And in that year, not only did we beat them at home, but we also beat them at the Bernabeu as well. So let's have a look at this one. OK. Ooh, happy days. What do you think of that finish, Paul? Will you take that one?
It's a great header because he's going backwards as well. But brilliant by Kevin De Bruyne was outstanding that night. I remember watching it. It was in between COVID as well, I think, this one. And the little break we had as well. But
yeah,
what a ball that is. But you know, he's got the defender in front of him and he's gone back, so to be able to get the power on the header to go back down. Keeper will get blamed, but he's wrong-footed him as well. Great header.
I loved that kit as well. Yeah. I loved that kit. So this was the game just before, obviously, the COVID outbreak around the world. And so the second leg, the home game, was played behind closed doors. But we won that one as well. So I feel like that's perhaps when we started to think, OK, the switch started to come and we stopped fearing them quite as much. So let's have a look at that home game as well. Oh, you've not got that one. Sorry. Right, on to the next one. OK, so another heartbreak, I say, as everything just started to switch there. But then we go away to Madrid, 2022. This is the one that Paul and I mentioned earlier. Oh my goodness, Paul.
Oh, just a horrible...
A chill?
Chill through me there as well. It was an unbelievable game. You know, the biggest standout in that game for me was when Jack Grealish came on. Remember, and he goes clean through, and Courtois makes an unbelievable save, and then it gets cleared off the line. And we would have been out of sight, out of mind. A couple of minutes later, they go and score. Then they go and score again to take it in extra time, and it was an incredible night to be at a football match, but horrible at the same time as well.
Yeah, I said it before, it is a night I'll never forget because of, and you've described it perfectly before in terms of the crowd and how with just 2 minutes to go and 2 goals behind, the crowd still vehemently believed that they were going to win, and the crowd almost pulled them through the last few minutes.
It was incredible. I know I said it before, it was incredible how they'd done it, and then we were just numb, even going back to the hotel afterwards. You know, we got back to the hotel and we're all sitting in the foyer and they replayed the game, didn't they?
Oh, in the hotel, yeah. That would all be smacked, doesn't it? We all just sat there.
I don't know what was more shocking.
You were there.
Yeah, right.
Don't know what was more shocking was watching that or getting charged £17 for a gin and tonic.
And I still remember that as well, Paul. I still remember that.
Outrageous on all fronts.
I was skint for weeks, yeah. Much needed, though. OK, but times got a lot better because I want to take you then to a year after that, to 2023, and what I would be comfortably call Manchester City's greatest ever performance, certainly of the Pep Guardiola era. We beat, I just feel like this was yesterday, we beat Real Madrid 4-0. 4-0 in this game. The performance, the all-round team performance, Steph, it was perfection for me.
Yeah, and I think with Paul speaking about the Real Madrid fans, our fans that night, that made it like a fortress for us. And I think being at that game and us scoring early, I think it did settle the nerves for a lot of people. But I think then you get that belief. But this team was super special, obviously, winning it in this. We won it that year. And I think you look at Julian Alvarez, he was such a great backup to Haaland, but he was unbelievable when he played, and it's so unfortunate that he's not with us now. But I think there's so many players that played amazing that whole Champions League kind of the tournament that we went through. So amazing to play against Real Madrid, to beat them 4-0 as well. I think that has given us belief, and I mean we've played them a lot of times as well. So if we don't believe now, we never will, because we keep playing them every single time.
You're so right about the crowd, though. As soon as you said it, I remembered being there on the night and I just remember at one point just feeling totally shell-shocked at how dominant we were. And I remember looking to my friends like, is this real? Oh my goodness, is this real? That, you know, it was that the crowd was electric, and just the performance, it was just such a magical night, Paul.
It was, and it's the best atmosphere I've seen at the Etihad. Not just the best, we said, best performance from a Man City team, it's one of the best performances I've ever seen in Europe. When you take into consideration the team that they had at the time, the players that they had. And I remember in the first half, and we were swarming all over them, and they had Modric and Benzema just standing, they looked bemused, they didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
You know, they were trying to get Modric on the ball, they couldn't do anything with it. Benzema was just a passenger.
You have moments, don't you, as a team, and I think that was our moment.
Yeah.
Even though the Champions League final was what it was, but I think in terms of performance and the way that Pep set up the team and the rhythm and just individuals, I think everything clicked that night. And I think just the buzz around the game before you, when you're walking up to the stadium and everybody's in there early, and I think you know that everybody knows that it's a massive game. And I think in Champions League, the fans do play a massive part, and whether that, hopefully not tonight for Real Madrid, but I know that our away fans will be amazing over there, as they always are. But when we bring them back to the Etihad, it's going to be big.
Oh, the Etihad will be electric on Tuesday, I'm sure, as well. And then the last one, because, you know, we're doing a little roller coaster ride here as well. The last one, we're going to look back to 2024. Of course, that night at the Etihad when we got beat on penalties. Rudiger's penalty won it for him. Of course, Rudiger does play tonight. Oh, I was heartbroken that night because Bernardo Silva obviously missed the penalty, and then in the following game in the Cup he took one, and I just, heartbreak.
This night was so tough because we deserved to win. They came up and banked up, and they relied on Jude Bellingham, they relied on Vinicius on the break, and we played better than Real Madrid that night, and they were playing for penalties.
They came for the draw.
Yeah, they definitely did. And I think I was here doing that game, and we were just like, oh my God, we can't believe it's gone to penalties, because it just gives them a bit of a better chance, do you know what I mean? But I think that's what it is. Part and parcel of football is you sometimes get them situations, but we didn't deserve to lose that game. But
And that was a team with experience that knew how to come and get a result.
Yeah.
And we're quite happy doing it as well. With a manager, obviously, who knew, and he set his team up great. It wasn't great to watch because we were the better team, obviously. But the experience they had that night just seen them through, I think, a little bit.
Just a couple of reminders in there as well, like you say, on that one, and of course the one we talked about from 2022 as well. You know that the Real Madrid have this Champions League thing where they can find a way, and they did what they had to on that night, and yeah.
They do. You've got to give them credit. They've found a way 15 times to do it, which is incredible.
Yeah.
But maybe looking at I think experience tonight is going to be huge as well. You know, a lot of the players we've got in the team, big games as well, and a lot of the youngsters they've got, the occasion could get to them, maybe.
Well, let's hear now from a man that knows Madrid inside and out. Let's get his thoughts on the game tonight, because this afternoon we caught up with the incredible Spanish journalist Guillem Balaguer.
Álvaro Arbeloa has been invited by the club, he's a clubman, to take over the reins at a time of crisis. He's there for whatever. I'm not sure if he's got a 1.5-year contract. I'm not sure if it goes really bad, he will continue. And if he doesn't continue, if he will stay on the club or not. But he's a clubman. So the pressure for him is expected, he would tell you. He hasn't been scared of putting youngsters, so that's a sign of somebody that is not desperate to have the same players all the time. Quite clearly, if Bellingham and Militao and Mbappé were ready, he will play them. I have to play them in nights like this. But he's kind of thinking ahead as well as a clubman that you have to beat City. But how about giving Thiago Pitarch an opportunity to shine and to have an experience against Manchester City, and Cisternos and Manuel Angel and all those youngsters. So, yeah, it's the pressure, of course. But at the same time, I just feel that if they give a good account of themselves at the Bernabeu, with some youngsters coming in that give energy to the side, and I think the fans will accept that the team is not ready for the biggest peaks, and that Arbeloa would have done a good job. But I can tell you that the same 2 days after he got announced, Real Madrid made a call to 3 managers to see if they were available for this season, in case Arbeloa didn't finish the season. And Arbeloa is not stupid. You know, he's heard Allegri, he's heard Pochettino, he knows all that. He's just doing a job for the club. So that means that pressure affects him a little bit less. I mean, he's 4 defeats in 13 games, and he's certain that he hasn't had a full squad yet. But this is Real Madrid, so I remember a time where Real Madrid under Ancelotti had same kind of injuries, serious injuries that lasted the whole year in some cases, and yet they competed very well. This was a team not created for Xabi Alonso, but given the reins to somebody that wanted the team to control, to pressure high, to be high tempo, a lot of things that he didn't manage to put in. So Arbeloa came in thinking, should I just use the best players and give them what they want, which is not a lot of defensive work in the case of Vini and Mbappé, a little bit of organization, being together, and that has proven to be not enough, even if everybody was available. It's a season in which Real Madrid will have to accept that they made a mistake of not having a Zubimendi. Xabi Alonso wanted Zubimendi. They need one of them, but they need other stuff, and they need to refresh the side, because it feels like some players, some of the top players are far too relaxed. They won the Champions League in 2024, but at Real Madrid that's not enough. You have to keep going. Sometimes they put pressure to Real Madrid, other times put pressure to the opposition, reminding who Real Madrid is. So normally the Copa Vaz and Marca would be Real Madrid, even if Atletico Madrid did very well. And yet, look, Atletico Madrid in both. That tells you that there's not a lot of trust on, you know, if you went for Real Madrid, they're great, 15 Champions League, you could just get a smack in the face from football at this point. But AS, as always, puts the cover whatever's important on the day and then goes into Real Madrid. Words from Arbeloa, we don't feel inferior to anybody, we'll look at them in their eyes. Okay. And of course, Pep was quite relaxed in the press conference. He's done this so many times. Didn't want to give a headline, but then he did, talking about Mbappé and his trip to Paris. Marca, biggest newspaper in Spain. It's all Atletico de Madrid in the first few pages. Barcelona as well, of course. Lucky to get a draw against Newcastle. And eventually, page 12, that must be some kind of record, will come out to try to beat City. There is, a draw is not enough, Arbeloa says, and medical problems with Mbappé, who Real Madrid feel, they're trying to convince him that to be ready for the second leg. But he won't be 100% by a long way.
Thank you so much there to Guillaume Balaguer for giving us his time this afternoon. Fascinating. Everything he says I just find so fascinating. The comment there about them phoning, looking for other managers in case it didn't work out. All three of us sort of looked at each other immediately. So thank you so much there to Guillaume Balaguer. So there is other Champions League games taking place. Obviously, there was last night, there's tonight. The early kick-off has just finished, and it's finished. Bayer Leverkusen 1, Arsenal 1. A Kai Havertz penalty in the 89th minute, which the article that I have it open in front of me is calling a dubious penalty. So I will look forward to seeing that one later. But Arsenal, they've pulled out a draw away from home. Will they be happy with that, do you think, Paul?
I think they will do. This stage, getting them back to the Emirates. The record's really good. It just seems that they're getting every little bit of slice of luck going at the minute. It's got to stop at some point.
Yeah, somebody's got to stop that luck at some point. Well, they've got a 1-1 draw there. Games last night as well. Interesting games and games involving the English teams as well. So Liverpool were beaten, that was the early kick-off yesterday, by Galatasaray. 1-0, and obviously they'll take them back to Anfield next week. I feel like, obviously, we played Galatasaray, and I don't remember them really doing anything in that game, Steph. I feel like that's going to be a disappointing result for a Liverpool team that perhaps felt like maybe they were getting back up a little bit.
Yeah, they'll be disappointed because I think they didn't really play as well as we've probably seen over the last few games for Liverpool's standard. But I think we talk about atmosphere. There's probably not one more intimidating than being at their stadium, and especially when you go a goal up as well, then obviously it creates more pressure. It creates chaos really for Liverpool. I don't think Liverpool really dealt with it that well, but I think when Liverpool go back to Anfield, we know that, unfortunately, we know how much of a fortress it is for them, and especially in these Champions League nights. So I think 1-0, it's still wide open in my opinion, especially when Liverpool have got that home leg as the second leg.
They're weird Galatasaray though. You look at their home form, you look at their away form, it's like chalk and cheese. And Liverpool were poor last night. It could have been more. In the previous round they scored 5 against Juve.
Yeah.
But then went away and lost it. I know they went through in goal difference in the end, I think it was. But it's a tough place to go, but it'll be a completely different game.
They'll fancy themselves still at Anfield on that one.
And they can't play any worse than what they did last night.
Yeah. Well, we could hope. The next result, though, this was the one I had my eye on because, of course, should we beat Real Madrid, should we get through, we already know what our path to the final would look like, and the next round would be against the winners of Atalanta and Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich travelled away and won 6-1. And also, if you didn't know, that is a Bayern Munich team playing without Harry Kane. This result blew my head off when I saw it, Steph. It was so comprehensive. Without Harry Kane, they are doing so well in the league. They're so far ahead.
Yeah.
I thought, oh gosh, OK.
They are ruthless. I think that's what I'd probably make of Bayern Munich this season in any competition that they've played in. I think not only with Harry Kane's form, they were without him last night, and you've got players that really step up, and it looks like they're really enjoying how they're playing. And I think under Vinny Kompany, a City legend, I think he'll be so demanding of the standards no matter what game that they play in, and that was certainly the case last night. I think they've got one foot into the next round without a doubt with that performance, because you take them back to Munich, and what did Atalanta do? Did they come out and try and get 5 more goals? But they'd be open for all these players to go and score. So I think Bayern Munich have gone quietly about their business in the Champions League and really efficient, and a typical German side, if I'm being honest, just in terms of just get the job done. But they've got some great players who can score some unbelievable goals, and I think that's what worries me going forward. Yeah, that attacking threat.
Elise's stats. I mean, he was phenomenal last night, but Elise's stats in the Bundesliga, he was on 18 assists in 23 games in the Bundesliga, add 10 goals onto that as well. Like, he's having some season. Obviously, we know him from when he was at Palace. Wow, those unbelievable stats.
They've got wonderful attacking talent. No Harry Kane, they go and score away from home. And when I seen the draw, I thought, Atalanta at home, but like Galatasaray, they're really difficult to play against. When I seen the result last night, I was like, wow. They've got Musiala, they've got
Luis Diaz.
Luis Diaz. Nicholas Jackson.
Nicholas Jackson's looks good there.
Who took a lot of stick at Chelsea.
Yeah.
Whenever he's come in, he's looked a top player. So, unbelievable result, really.
Yeah, of course, we're fully focused on this game as it stands, but...
They can get all the goals out of the way in this round.
I like that, Paul. Yes, I like that, Paul, very much. And then, I mean, there was another... I mean, what a night in the Champions League. Another result last night that blew my mind was Atletico Madrid 5, Spurs 2. The main talking point that's come out of that, and I would love both your opinions on that, is obviously the substitution of the goalkeeper after 17 minutes. That seems, I mean, even conceding 3, that still seems crazy to me.
Honestly, I thought it was disgusting from the manager and the coaching staff. You know, you've made a huge call initially and putting the young kid in there, and I think you've got to back him. You know, they weren't 3-0 down because of him, 4-0 down because of him. You know, I think they played a back 5 last night, didn't they? So there was another 11 players in the pitch as well, and I think he's hung them out to dry massively. And it would be difficult for him to get over that, you know. And yes, he made a couple of mistakes, slipping over, but the whole team have been making mistakes. The whole team have been dreadful since he's been in there. And then to make that call after 16, 17 minutes, I felt for the kid. I really did, confidence-wise. Then for the manager just to ignore him as he walked off as well, I thought that was a bit...
You can see that, like, in terms of, like, the team, they aren't happy. I think... You don't perform badly how long Spurs have done if they are happy players, and especially when Igor Tudor's come in, we didn't ever expect him to come in. Nobody was really like, oh my God, we probably think he's going to come in, because nobody spoke about him. So I think that's shock, but then also you've had 4 games. You've not really had that new manager bounce, but then he's a young kid, a young goalkeeper. It's such a different position to everybody else. You make a mistake, you get punished, unfortunately, and one of them was a slip. But I think to do it and hang them out to dry at 17 minutes, you can tell by the reaction of the likes of those on the bench. They're straight down the tunnel to see if he's OK. And I think players have always made mistakes in games, but I think you made a big call, even experience.
He deflected away from himself by bringing him off, I think.
Yeah.
You know, he's made a big call in playing him. You've got to back him if you put him in the team. You've got to back him. You make mistakes and you're 4-0, 3-0 down. It was when he came off, I think it was, wasn't it? 3-0
down, yeah. But then Vicario conceded within 5.
Yeah, you know, we'll take him off again. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it was really, really poor decision from a coaching point of view, but more from a human and management point of view. I thought it was awful.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm glad you said that. And Spurs play, if you didn't know, Spurs play Liverpool at Anfield on Sunday, so that could be 5 games, 5 defeats for Igor Tudor. Interesting. I wonder if our Harry Redknapp will be in by this time next week. There was another game, obviously, as well. Newcastle played Barcelona. And, oh, my goodness, they conceded. Heartbreak for them. A late penalty meant that game ended up Newcastle 1, Barcelona 1. But given that they are Barcelona, I think that just highlights even more how good our performance was against Newcastle at the weekend as well. So, last quick question on that. Favourites, having seen those results last night, favourites for the Champions League as it stands?
I think you've got to put Bayern up there.
Yeah, Bayern.
I've always said, I know they're not having the best season, I've always said PSG as well. I think, you know, they didn't have the best campaign last year. It was at this kicked on and hit the heights that they want, and you can never write them off with their attacking 3-4 players that they've got in their team.
Thank you very much. So we are fast approaching kick-off now, but before we get the final thoughts of our guests in the studio tonight, we asked former City player and Champions League winner Owen Hargreaves to blind rank some of our favourite Champions League goals scored at this stage of the competition in the round of 16.
I'm Owen Hargreaves and I'm here to blind rank Manchester City's best goals in the round of 16.
Here's Mahrez, and now De Bruyne!
Riyad to Kevin, oh my word. I mean, that is ridiculous. Kevin was probably the best ball striker with his weaker foot. I mean, that's going to be hard to top, really, because it's not even his strong foot. Amazing goal. Right now, actually, I don't know what I'm going to see, but I'm going to say that's 1. Yeah, King Kev, I'm putting Kevin at number 1. He was just such a special player. But let's see, we might get a better one.
De Bruyne. And now Foden!
The proper City goal, this. That little run from Kevin. I mean, honestly, I couldn't think of a more City goal. That's Pep's coaching. The detail in this is is quite remarkable. The little runs, Kevin running off the back of the defender, the little set, Phil Foden continuing his run. It gets a little bit of a ricochet off the defender's foot and it falls to Phil. It's a great finish, but a lot of coaching detail in that. But because of the ricochet, I'm going to give that 5. You look back at the players out there, you know, Riyadh, I think Julian Alvarez is out there. What's a finish? Just remarkable, really. The thing I love about Kevin is he always kind of stayed away. Great players find space. Paul Scholes was the master at it, and Kevin was the same. He always kind of found a little pocket of space where there was nobody around. Except the touch. He's amazing. This might be a Kevin special. I'm gonna go that number 2.
Sterling. Oh, how about that?
Let's see what we got. Raheem. Ooh. What a finish from Raheem. God, he was so good in the Manchester City shirt, wasn't he? What a finish that is. To be fair, didn't get many of those kind of from the edge of the box. Bernardo. What a brilliant goal from Raheem. That is so good, it's ridiculous. I love those ones when you know exactly it's going to go top bins. Look at Bernardo. He can't believe it. I'm going to give that 4. I'm going to put that 4th. Something must be coming. That was good. It could have been 3rd easy. But you know what? Let's see what we got coming here. Oh, Leroy was amazing in the City shirt. Look how young he is there. What a player he was, by the way. Oh, I remember this goal. Schalke. Is that Schalke?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember. Came from Schalke. Young boy, used to watch him in Germany and I remember seeing him for the first time thinking, wow, this kid's going to be amazing. His free kick that's brilliant. But Leroy, the first time I watched him play, I remember for Schalke, you thought, wow, what is this? Quick, explosive. Then he added this to his game, the free kick, which was, that is, yeah, I'm sorry, but that is, that could have been one on its own, but Kevin's with the left and taking that. That's just going to have to be number 3, there's no other way about it, but brilliant goal from Leroy. So what a player. Brilliant, that is so good. You know what, I think for Manchester City in this Champions League, I think it's quite open actually. There's some great teams in there, but I don't think anybody's kind of been the strongest so far. Arsenal have been terrific, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich have been especially strong, PSG, but I think for City, nobody wants to play City in the knockout game with Pep and the experience that he has, and Erling Haaland at the top of the pitch. Czech, he's been amazing in a Manchester City shirt. I think they're starting to find form, and I think the biggest difference from last season, you've got Donnarumma in goal, who's one of the best shot stoppers in big moments, and I think the team has evolved a little bit, play a little bit different, which I think will suit the Champions League, and I think they could easily win at Manchester City if they keep everybody fit and healthy, get the back 4 fit. Nobody's going to want to play Manchester City in the knockout stages, and I think they could easily get to the final and win it.
Thank you so much there to Owen Hargreaves. I feel like that was a really difficult blind ranking. Like, any of them could have been number 1 there. So thank you very much to him. Less than 10 minutes to go now. Let's have a look back at the starting 11s for both teams. So there's your City starting 11. Donnarumma, Kushanov, Diaz, Gay, O'Reilly, Rodri, captain Bernardo, Savinho, Semenyo, Doku and Haaland. And then cast your eyes on that bench. That's phenomenal bench as well for City. Starting 11 for Real Madrid: Courtois, Alexander-Arnold, Rudiger, Houghton, Mendy, Tchouaméni, Valverde, Diaz, Thiago, Gula and Vinicius Jr. And you'll see there no Mbappe on the bench. He is not in the squad tonight. So that is both of your starting 11s. Less than 10 minutes now to the 8 o'clock Champions League round of 16. City are at the Bernabeu again. Oh my goodness. Okay, we've been fairly calm in the studio, I think partly because of the victory that we had in the Bernabeu in the group stage, and also because the way that Real Madrid are this year. But of course, always respectful, always remembering they've won it 15 times and they seem to pull something out of the hat when it comes to the Champions League. But Steph, what are you thinking? How are you feeling?
Yeah, positive. I think obviously off the back of the Newcastle game, I think we're going in with a lot of confidence, a team that looks happy, and it's a great opportunity for us, I think, in terms of the starting team of Real Madrid. It's probably a really good opportunity if we can get out the blocks quite quickly and really put them under pressure and get the fans against them. Then we have a lot of quality in that team who can score goals, and obviously it looks like Pep's going really attacking today. So confident?
Confident?
Yeah.
Mr. Dickov?
Always
I
confident.
knew you were going to say that.
Well, it's very, very rarely, if ever, I can't remember a team going to the Bernabeu and being favourites. So I think that sort of shows you where both teams are at the minute in the season. And I just love the look of our front four today. I think they're going to cause them all sorts of problems.
What battle are you looking forward to most? Because obviously we mentioned Rudiger and Haaland that we saw back in December as well. We mentioned Trent and Doku, and then on the other side, Kuznetsov versus Vinicius. Which one do you think is going to be the most interesting?
Kuznetsov against Vinicius. He doesn't take any prisoners. Does our Kuznetsov?
It's crazy because if Kuznetsov wins that battle, but then we win the battle with Doku and Arnold, then that's what swings the game. Like them two areas, because they're two such key players for, obviously, Haaland, Rudiger is a big matchup, but at the same time, majority of the time we're going through our wingers all the time. So if we can get them into the game quite quickly, that's where a lot of our play comes. So, yeah, I agree with you. But I think Kuznetsov, the last time he played against Vinicius, he did unbelievable in terms of he was only new to the team, doesn't know a word of English, and he's having to play against one of the best players in the world.
I don't think he played right back for us before that game either.
No.
You know, it'll be interesting what they do with Benny Jr. tonight, whether they just play wide or whether they realise that he's pace against Kuznetsov and whether they play him a bit more centrally, which they can do and have done before.
OK, give me a first leg prediction and a prediction over the two games.
I'm going to go 2-0 tonight. I'm tempted to go 3.
Oh, I had a mad stat, but now I can't remember it, about the last time that Real Madrid didn't score in a game at the Bernabeu. It's something like 1,000,000 years in the Champions League.
A million years.
1,000,000 years. It's like 30 years or something since they didn't score in a Champions League game at the Bernabeu. But you think we can?
I do. I just look at the way we're set up today and how they are, and maybe I'm looking too much into it, but how they were in the Benfica game and how open they were. And the players we've got on the pitch. So I was tempted to go 3, but that's getting too carried away. That's just borderline ridiculous. That'll go to 2-0.
And then a win over 2 legs for City?
Yeah.
OK. Steph?
I'll go 2-1. City, obviously.
And then over 2 legs?
Yeah, City. I'm confident. I think we've got enough tonight.
I listened to a Real Madrid fan podcast on my drive in today. I often listen to a fan podcast of the team that we're playing just to get a sense of what the fans are thinking. And obviously they are hardcore Real Madrid fans that watch them every single week. And do you know what score prediction they gave at the end of that podcast that I listened to? 4-0 to City.
Well, that just shows you the confidence they've got in the team at the minute.
So, fingers crossed, it is a big game ahead. We are calm, we are respectful, but we are confident. We are going to hand over now to our commentary team for the game. You can get your full match commentary, as always, on the Manchester City app with the wonderful Alistair Mann and the brilliant Steve Howie. We'll be back with you at half-time and at full-time, where hopefully our confidence has not been misplaced. Enjoy the game, Blues.
They meet for the 4th season running, a 7th.
Thanks, Natalie. Welcome to the most famous stadium in world football, the Estadio Bernabeu. It is the most iconic of places to play your football. And in answer to the question about the last time that Real Madrid did not score at home in a knockout Champions League game, it was some 15 years ago. And the manager for the visiting team was someone called Pep Guardiola, when Barcelona won here by 2-0. So it is the kind of place where the home supporters may not necessarily believe in their team, but you'd be forgiven for thinking that, because the atmosphere in the stadium is fantastic. The sea of white all around the ground is breathtaking, and the atmosphere as it currently stands is magnificent. This is their trophy, this is their property. and this is their home. And the last thing they want is for City to come here and inflict any damage on their prospects of winning a 16th European Cup or UEFA Champions League trophy. So as the anthem bellows out at this huge stadium, City are once again at the Bernabeu to face Real Madrid. It's a fixture that's been played